The steps of urea cycle are this beta. Carbon dioxide plus ammonium in the presence of carbamyl phosphate synthase. 2 ATP are utilized here. In the presence of N-acetyl glutamate, 2 ADP plus high energy phosphate is released. They form carbamyl phosphate. Then you can see through series of steps of citrulline, aspartate, arginosuccinate, fumarate, arginine, ornithine. Finally, you will see urea is formed. Okay. So this is the urea cycle. You should write everything whatever is given in this cycle, like including the enzymes and the substrates, the oxidoreduction reactions taking place during these processes. Everything has to be discussed in detail. So apart from this, there are certain metabolic disorders, isn't it? See, what are the metabolic disorders in urea cycle? Suppose if carbamyl phosphate synthase 1 is deficient, then person will suffer with this defect, that is hyperammonemia type 1. Similarly, we have corresponding enzymes and the defective disorders. Like suppose arginase is not there, then hyperargininemia. Okay, arginase is the last step. That means arginine is accumulated in the blood and you will see it is not converted to urea and ornithine and the levels of arginine will increase in the blood and so on. So like that you have to convert this table into sentences and these are the metabolic defects. Of course, we discussed it many times also previously, isn't it, Ritika? Okay. So what are the renal function tests, beta? We have organ function test is the chapter. Can you name few?
Uh,
Urea cycle is clear, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Very simple.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, beta, thank you. That is C is equal to U into V by P, beta. That one. Creatinine clearance test.
Clearance, ma'am.
All clearance tests will come under renal function. Okay. So 453.
Okay, okay.
So all those. It's applicable for creatinine, urea, uric acid, inulin dye, whatever you use. Okay, that is the formula. Apart from that, we can do physical examination of urine and all. Let us see, 453 page. Renal function test is our question. Okay, beta? So,
Okay.
under this renal function test, we know like nephrons are the structural units of the kidney which are concerned with the formation of urine. This we have discussed when we were doing physiology. Okay, the glomerular filtration, what are the substances we see in the urine and all. Basically, we see urea, uric acid, creatinine, and certain minerals as excretory products like dissolved in water. That is the composition of urine. So for renal function test, we have to talk about clearance test. Okay, that is nothing but measuring the glomerular filtration rate. So in order to assess renal function. So clearance is nothing but the volume of plasma that would be completely cleared of a substance per minute. That substance can be either creatinine, it can be urea, it can be uric acid or any chemical substance which is coming and getting filtered in the glomerulus. Okay. So clearance of a substance refers to milliliters of plasma which contains the amount of that particular substance excreted by kidney per minute. So this is the like formula we usually use. C is equal to U into V by P, where C is clearance, U is concentration of substance in urine. This substance can be either creatinine or urea or uric acid or inulin. Okay, V is the volume of urine in ml per minute. Okay, and P is nothing but the concentration of substance in plasma. Okay, so that is we have then this formula we can apply for any of this beta like creatinine clearance test. You have C is equal to U into by V by P. Okay, and you should remember the normal reference values. The creatinine clearance is 120 to 145 ml per minute. So suppose if it is decreased, so if it is less than 75% normal, it's a sensitive indicator that shows decreased GFR. Okay. So it may be due to renal damage, and it is used for early detection of impaired kidney function. Okay. So that is. So only creatinine word will change and rest of all theory part will remain same for urea clearance test. Okay. Same thing, except for that substance you have to make use of the word urea. Similarly, though only urea is given, you can also write few more clearance tests like uric acid clearance is also there. Inulin is a dye which is generally given intravenously, and then we are checking for the clearance, like how much amount of inulin is cleared in the glomerulus and excreted in urine. Okay, beta? So that is. Apart from that, we can also go with other things like physical examination of urine. So normal color of urine will be light yellow, amber colored. So suppose if the color of urine is becoming dark yellow, it may be jaundice. So that will be there somewhere given here, beta. We will see that also. Physical examination. Physical examination is also important. I remember it is given somewhere, but I'm not finding here. So, if urine is in red color, then it shows hematuria. Okay, it may be due to certain parasitic infections like Cystosoma hematobium. Okay, or it may be due to bladder cancer also. So that is. We can check for certain abnormal constituents like proteins, blood, ketone bodies, glucose. They are not normally present in the urine. Presence of proteins in the urine will suggest renal failure, glomerulonephritis. Presence of blood, parasitic infection or cancers. Presence of ketone bodies, diabetes, starvation and fasting. Presence of glucose, generally it indicates diabetes mellitus. Okay, beta. You also study this particular part from your practical manual. There, urine examination topic will be given. You can elaborate your answer from there. Okay, Ritika?
Okay, ma'am.
Beta. Then, respiratory acidosis. What is respiratory acidosis? That means lungs are not functioning properly and carbon dioxide is not being evaporated through lungs. Okay, and carbon dioxide is retained in the blood, leading to increased carbonic acid levels in the blood. That's what is respiratory acidosis. Acidosis which is resulting due to non-functional or reduced functional capacity of lungs. I'll show you one flow chart here. See here, respiratory acidosis. What is happening? The acidosis means due to increase in carbonic acid. Carbon dioxide is not excreted in the lung from the lungs. Carbon dioxide is retained in the blood itself. It is combining with water and it is leading to the formation of more excessive carbonic acid. If acid is more, you call it as acidosis. And if it is due to defective respiratory function, you call it as respiratory acidosis. So under respiratory acidosis, all these are the disorders. It is severe asthma, pneumonia, cardiac arrest, obstruction in airways, chest deformities, depression of respiratory center by certain drugs like opium. Okay, Ritika?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Then there is a question called as lac operon beta. This I need to go from cover page only. This is a hypothesis which is analyzed in a bacteria. Lagopiron. Yeah, 567 page. Yes, beta, here we have. See, lac-operon, structure of lac-operon. Lac-operon, it is nothing but it's a regulatory gene. We need to see this picture in order to understand. I'll show you. Okay, so I is standing for inhibition, operator gene O, and three structural genes we have Z, Y, A. So these genes are like P is the promoter gene next to operator gene where enzyme RNA polymerase binds. So this lag operon concept is coordinated unit of genetic expression in bacteria. Okay, that means we have regulatory gene, we have promoter site, we have operator gene, we have certain structural genes like ZYA, which is studied in a bacteria. So this concept was given by Jacob and Monod in 1961, based on their observation in E. coli. Okay, and it is popularly known as lac-operon. So that is nothing but we are studying coordinated unit of genetic expression in bacteria. Okay, so these are the various genes which are present. Beta. This he asked us to study this 26.1 figure, this one. So this is the regulatory gene which is seen in E. coli by this Jacob and Monod. So we have regulatory promoter and these are the structural genes. So they are actually regulatory gene. I standing for what, beta? Inhibition, isn't it? O is operator.
Inhibition.
O is operatory gene and R is regulatory, isn't it? Yeah. So here you see this inhibitory gene. Here you have like mRNA. We know mRNA is coding for, it has like codons, no? It can be AUG, GUG, triplets, which are coding for amino acids. So this picture has been studied first in bacteria. So here we have mRNA, so which is coding for certain repressor subunits. Okay, so four subunits together they join to form repressor tetramer. So this is now being fixed in the structure of this gene. Now this operator gene, here you have repressor tetramer coming. So now see here. So this is A, which is showing the structural component. B, we are seeing how it is working. And this in the promoter side, you are finding. You remember replication beta, where we have studied in human structure, like eukaryotes. So many regulator genes were there also, isn't it? Uncoiling of parent DNA, and then you will see so many enzymes and so many like further substrates involved in the formation of the daughter DNA molecule. Similarly, here also you are finding CAPs like cyclic AMP at the place of promoter site, which is coding for this RNAP. Nothing but what is this beta? RNA polymerase enzyme is working here, and finally you will see what is this fourth box. It is repressor tetramer. Okay, so here this bacteria is actually E. coli. Here it is joining with lactose and it is just inactivating this repressor. So overall mRNA which is synthesized here, it synthesizes so many enzymes. What are those? Which are proteins only. Beta galactosidase and permease and acetylase. These are the enzymes synthesized in E. coli. And this has been studied. Okay, just a minute. So you just study this flowchart thoroughly, beta, whatever has been given here, and you can write about this operon concept, black operon. Okay. This I told you very recently, no, beta, primary and secondary structures of proteins. This
Yes, ma'am.
from chemistry of proteins. You can just listen to my lecture also once again. Mm. What is alkaptonuria, beta?
Uh,
This has come from protein metabolism, isn't it? Homogentisate oxidase deficiency, I guess, beta. Coca-Cola colored urine,
yes, ma'am.
isn't it? Alkaptonuria. After lipids we have, right? Yeah. Yeah, beta. Metabolic defect is homogentisate oxidase. Okay. So it is a defective enzyme. So it is concerned with which metabolism? Phenylalanine and tyrosine metabolism. Okay. So during this metabolism, suppose if this enzyme is deficient, then it leads to alkaptonuria. Okay. So you should write the clinical symptoms also. Urine becomes dark Coca-Cola colored on standing. Here only. Here better. It was first described by this Lusitanus. Okay. So what does like it's a recessive autosomal recessive disorder, 1 in 25,000 people. Defective enzyme is this. So homogentisate accumulates in the tissues and blood and excreted in the urine on standing. It leads to the formation of quinones which give black or brown color. For this reason you will see the urine is coke, like Coca-Cola colored urine. You can check this in urine with the help of certain biochemical tests. Okay. So if this homogentisate like gets oxidized in polyphenol oxidase to benzoquinone acetate, what happens? It gets converted to a polymerized product called as alkapton. It gets deposited in connective tissue, bones, nose, ear. So in these areas, it will lead to dark black in color. That's what is called as ochronosis. Okay. If it is deposited in synovial membrane and in the joint spaces, it will lead to arthritis. There also you will see dark pigment is getting deposited in the joints. So we should check like urine Like I told you, if you allow the urine to stand for longer time also, you will see it becomes Coca-Cola colored, or you can add ferric chloride and silver nitrate. This also it becomes dark Coca-Cola colored, which shows like homogeneity is present in the urine. Benedict's test also gives positive for this alkaptonuria. It's not so dangerous. Generally, people do not take treatment also, it seems. But consumption of protein diet with a relatively low phenylalanine content is recommended because it's not getting digested, no, properly metabolized. It's better to avoid phenylalanine containing protein diet. Okay, beta?
Okay, ma'am.
Huh. This is general beta, iodine and fluoride. So iodine, basically whatever functions we study for thyroid hormones, that you can write for iodine because iodine is very important for the formation of T3 and T4, isn't it? So thyroid hormones. Then fluoride basically it helps in the formation of mineralization of teeth, and suppose if it is excess it leads to fluorosis, no, we see in Nalgonda population. So few functions
Ah,
only we will have for this fluorine and iodine, just go through once. Okay, better. Then
okay, ma'am.
post transcriptional modifications, what happens beta post transcriptional? Poly A tail, introns, exons,
Capping,
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 very good.
tailing.
Yeah, very good. That those points you just go through once. What is isoelectric pH? The pH at which amino acids are existing as bitter ions. Bitter ions in the sense the amino acid will have amino group and carboxylic group. Now both of them are carrying, one is carrying positive charge and the other is carrying negative charge. Both the charges are present at a particular pH. That particular pH at which amino acid is existing as bitter ion is called as isoelectric pH. Okay? Then active methionine. Do you remember SAM? S-adenosyl methionine. S-adenosyl methionine, which is acting as one carbon donor. Okay, that is active methionine. Okay, beta. So this we have, I think here in this chapter only we will see SAM. Yes, beta, this one. S-adenosyl methionine is nothing but active form of methionine. You can write so many functions in fact. So S-adenosyl methionine is giving one carbon transfer. These are all like acceptors of methyl group, and these are the methylated products. For example, guanidoacetate is receiving one carbon from SAM and it is forming creatine. Similarly, norepinephrine to epinephrine, epinephrine to metanephrine, then ethanolamine to choline, and so on. Okay, better? So this is the active form of methionine, SAM, S-adenosyl methionine. So what are the most commonly used tumor markers? Do you remember? Names of the tumor markers. In cancer,
There's a table for that.
yes, better. Do you remember at least one tumor marker?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So just tell me what for do we need these tumor markers?
What, ma'am?
Like what is the importance of tumor markers?
Uh, it increases in the blood.
In that particular type of cancer, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll see the table once. These are the tumor markers, beta. Like you said, they are increased in a particular type of cancer. For example, if you are suspecting colon, stomach, pancreas, or breast cancer, carcinoembryonic antigen is the tumor marker. Alpha fetoprotein, cancer antigens, like based on what type of cancer. Certain hormones like human chorionic gonadotrophin in choriocarcinoma, it's a cancer of placenta. Calcitonin, thyroid cancer. Catecholamines, adrenal gland, medulla cancer, pheochromocytoma, okay, neuroblastoma. Like that, you have certain cancers in which these tumor markers are increased. So, and the last question, if you have textbook with you, in the last page, cover page, inside, you will get the normal values of sodium, potassium, chloride, and bicarbonate. Check them once. Okay, beta?
Okay.
Huh. So, we will stop
Okay.
here.